Good afternoon, everybody. It's Tuesday, January 28th, 2025. I'm Dave Neal, and this is your afternoon rush hour podcast. Here's all the stories we have for your drive home. Rachel Kirkconnell is the biggest trending story in Bachelor Nation. She's on Call Her Daddy podcast tonight. TMZ caught up with her at the airport. We'll see what she had to say about her relationship and how it ended so abruptly. Plus, Jason Tartick discusses his last breakup from Kat Stickler on his Jason Tell All episode of his podcast. He also talks about having a 10-figure business. Do the math. That's $10 million. We're not quite there yet, but a boy can dream. Also, answers to the drones, which we all want to know from the president. What do they have to say? And also more Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni information. Of course, the biggest story out there will continue. It is the Scandival of 2025, the biggest. It is our Roman Empire. And also, Dave Neal to the White House. I'll share more about that. And we'll share a host quitting on air and the rumor that the water has been turned on in California is being disputed by the military, of all people. Okie dokie. Lots of stories to get into. You're in the right place. We'll be back with all that and more coming up next on The Rush. Well, 2 weeks ago, Matt James announced his breakup with Rachel Kirkconnell. He made a bizarre post where he said, "Dear Father God, have grace on us. You know, we broke up." And everyone's like, what? Well, as it turns out, Rachel Kirkconnell's camp says that he only posted that after 3 hours of the breakup. So the breakup was very, very warm. If the breakup was, a bowl of French fries, I wouldn't have put them in the microwave. They would have been just fine. It wasn't quite stale yet, is my point. So either way, Rachel Kirkconnell says, I'm going to go on Call Her Daddy. It was revealed yesterday. Bombshell. Alex Cooper just gets the interviews. It's so amazing. Probably buys her a flight, ships her right out there to the studio. She gets all the outfits. So here is Rachel Kirkconnell wearing her Unwell merch, which is Call Her Daddy's merch. I need some Dave Neal merch. I don't know what I would use there, but that's great. I love it. It's, you know why I like Unwell? Because it's a nice tag, but it's like, it's not too in-your-face logo. Either way, Rachel says no infidelity in the split, although we're hearing rumors that maybe something was found on a cell phone. I don't want to flame the fires. We might have to listen to the podcast episode that comes out tonight. But either way, here's TMZ catching up with Rachel Kirkconnell.
How are you holding up? How are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
You doing good? You solid?
Hanging in there.
You good? How can I ask you?
By the way, people are wondering, what is she listening to on her headphones? Clearly the Rush Hour podcast. We know the Kirkconnell family. Big fans of the show. We appreciate you. Did think I was going to get her first interview, but lost out to other small podcaster Alex Cooper.
We see this a lot. Like, I've been doing this business a long time, and we see celebrities break up, like, in the public eye often. How difficult is that for you to kind of break up, like, really kind of, like, all over the internet? You know, everyone's talking about it. You're just doing you. So how difficult is that for you to kind of...
For those listening on audio, she looks like the Cheshire Cat. She's literally going up the escalator. And by the way, the video guys from TMZ, they know that they have 25 seconds of this slow-moving escalator. They probably pay off the mechanic to make sure the escalator doesn't go any faster. They know Rachel's going to stand there and has 25 seconds, but she's looking at the guy like, are you serious right now? And don't get me wrong, most of the time, celebrities call ahead to get TMZ, but a lot of times they'll just hang out at the airport. I've been at LAX where TMZ will start talking to me as they're waiting for a celebrity to arrive. So my thought is that Alex Cooper's team probably tells TMZ Rachel's on a flight at this time, go catch her, because it's great promo for their podcast.
To kind of go through that?
It's nothing that you can prepare for. So, yeah, you just take it one day at a time.
What happened with you and Matt, can I ask? I mean, it's going to jump right into it. Is there anything that you can tell us?
I think things will start to come out, and I'll speak about it whenever I'm ready. But
all right.
For now, I'm just...
Was it infidelity? Can you give us...
No.
No, it wasn't infidelity?
No, not at all.
Okay. Is there any chance of you guys getting back together, though?
No.
Definitely not?
Yeah, we're out. We're done.
You're done. Okay.
There it is.
All right.
Oh, by the way, is she in, does she not have pre-check? I can't tell if this, she's in, okay, I was going to say, Rachel, if you're not in TSA pre-check, what are we doing? We need to kind of get you in that lounge life. Either way, look, big fan of Rachel. I was of the camp that liked Matt James as long as he kept Rachel happy. That's the camp I was in. So yeah, her episode with Call Her Daddy premieres tonight, and I'm telling you, Alex Cooper is going to get the tea. And you know why? I figured it out. She interviews her guests without their shoes on. They sit Indian style on these comfy little couches. They share their feelings. I'm telling you right now, the key to a good interview is getting your guests to take their shoes off. You try to interview me and get my shoes off, I'm going to tell you the secrets. I'm going to spill it all. I just feel safe with no shoes on. So either way, oh look, there's 10 seconds left in this actual clip. So it appears as though the TMZ guy follows her into the security checkpoint. I mean, he's going all, maybe he's got a boarding pass. Who knows?
Hey, have you gotten back on the horse yet? You starting dating again yet, or taking time for you?
He says, are you starting dating yet or taking time for you?
Thank you.
Take care.
And
Bye,
she
Rachel.
says, thank you, bye. So we don't know. Now, the key would be if she wasn't flying TSA pre-check when she takes her shoes off for security. That's when you could hit her with the hard-hitting questions, but she's flying TSA pre-check, so doesn't have to take her shoes off. So she's tight-lipped in tight sneakers. She's got it all bolted down, but either way, very, very interesting. Here's a theory from our friends of the show, She's All Batch podcast. They're wondering what could have gone down between Matt James and Rachel Kirkconnell. Have a listen.
Everyone made a big deal that it came out that Matt posted the breakup post 3 hours after he broke up with Rachel. What would be a reason for someone to post a breakup announcement that quickly? If there's maybe something else you want to pursue and you want to get that done, move aside, and then maybe you can move on with something else.
What are you implying, though? He's going to be the Bachelor again.
Matt James, don't come for me. This is just an assumption, but like perhaps there is another woman he wants to pursue because he could have broken up with Rachel, not announced it, maybe was seen doing something and everyone's like, Matt's a cheater. So he wanted to maybe make it clear to the world that he was in fact a single man. I don't know.
Not a bad take. Again, you can go check out the She's All
Something
Batch podcast,
else.
which by the way, I love the She's All Batch podcast. I love Jackie and Stephanie. I just hope when I see them again in Vegas, they're not busy ditching me for Jax and the rest of the Vanderpump crew. Sorry, I'm not cool enough. They literally left us. They were like, all right, we're going to hang out. And next thing you know, they're at the Venetian hanging out with Jax and, I'm sure, James Kennedy. Who knows who they were with, really? I'm saying that in jest. We love them. But either way, and by the way, the pink looks great on them. They've color coordinated. We love it. Loves it. Stephanie's leaving the clavicle open for the boys. She's trying to go for the male demographic there. So yeah, it's very interesting from one Bachelor story to another. Here's Jason Tartick, formerly from The Bachelorette, and he is now a single man, discussing his latest relationship with Kat Stickler. Here's what he had to say about that.
It was the month of just before the breakup and then after. That was probably one of the hardest months of my life because it was so abrupt and it was so unexpected. And it was then what I was hearing, these things I'm hearing publicly about speculation of what happened. And I'm just sitting in my house, pulling my hair out. You got to be kidding me. That was a really tough month. Yeah. Really, 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 really hard month.
I have to say, having covered the Bachelor franchise, I'm not saying it's harder for the men on the show than the women, but when breakups happen, I think usually an audience, which is primarily women, will empathize more so with the woman on the show. In this case, Caitlin Bristow has a lot of haters. Now Jason Tartick does, and they've got a lot of supporters. He then goes on and talks about his 10-figure income, about how the brand has done really well. If you're adding that up, 10 figures is $10+ million this past year. Not a bad paycheck. So you can go check that episode out. He talks about the $500,000 brand deal he got. I love that they are having these conversations. Good for them with regard to kind of opening up the books with the financial conversation. As far as, dealing with the internet speculating, I'm sure he wouldn't change it. It would be nice if it didn't exist, but when I have to deal with haters, I always go, well, the haters suck, but the lifestyle is definitely great. That comes with having the sort of influence of a hit podcast or whatever the hell you want to call it. So it sucks that that's what you have to deal with, but you have to sort of negotiate the great money that can come from it all, but also knowing you lose some of your private life. And hopefully he can just stop reading those comments. But I know it's difficult. It ain't easy. All right, I got drone updates coming next. Stick around. We'll be back with the truth behind the New Jersey drones. All right, here it is. We've waited. Trump said he's going to reveal all the information behind those drones. We're not gonna learn anything new. No little green men, apparently.
After research and study, the drones that were flying over New Jersey in large numbers were authorized to be flown by the FAA for research and various other reasons. Many of these drones were also hobbyists, recreational, and private individuals that enjoy flying drones. In time, it got worse due to curiosity. This was not the enemy. A statement from the President of the United States to start this briefing with some news.
All right. I don't know. That's, of course, the new press secretary there commenting on the drones, saying it was curiosity that caused the drones. So little to see here, folks. Now, that's probably the truth. Usually the truth is the most logical thing, which is there was some hype around some weird things that were flying up there. People started flying their drones up, and the next thing you know, everyone's got their drones in the sky. Could there be more to the story? Sure. But again, at this point, I'm glad to hear it's not the enemy. And I stocked up on all that chili from Costco, just thinking that we might have had to deal with the end of times. Well, speaking of the end of times here, it's the end of times when Sam, Britney Spears' ex-husband, is, I guess, famous. He wants to talk about his former marriage to Britney Spears. Here's what he has to say.
It's 7 years worth of relationship that comes from the music video and a marriage and a lot of experiences and a lot of experiences, which I like to call it a crash course in Hollywood, which was.
By the way, I moved to Hollywood and I didn't marry Britney Spears, so I didn't get the same crash course that he did, but I also don't have the same jawline. So what are you going to do?
Which was great. And everything was going really well until one day I started learning about what the conservatorship is and things like that. And that's when I was like, wait a minute. Like, I thought, I'm in America. What do you mean? What do you mean somebody doesn't have, their basic
autonomy over their own life, right?
What do you mean someone over the age of 18 needs permission from their parents and all this ridiculous thing? But, I'm very new to this, and everybody is. It's such a ridiculous thing in this country to have to deal with. And that was by far the most, I'm not going to say difficult because I don't think anything's difficult. That was the weirdest thing to deal with.
Yeah, so of course he's talking about Britney Spears' conservatorship, where she didn't have control over her own body, really, her bank accounts or anything. And look, I understand the idea of a conservatorship, right? If you have a parent who's got Alzheimer's, you don't want them to just give all their money away to some scam artist. You want to be able to help them. In this case, I think what we learned is that conservatorships, it needs to be easier to challenge them to make sure that they are still done in good faith. And it shouldn't be all or nothing. Like, yes, she's got some issues for sure, mental health issues, but again, does it mean the parents were acting in their best interest? I don't think so. And for that reason, with someone who's got the money and bandwidth of Britney Spears, you would think they can put together some sort of tribunal to make big decisions. So if she says, I want to go buy a car, they say, well, hold on a second. You wanted to buy a car last week, like, well, the money's tight here. Let's talk to the people. It's almost like there has to be a better solution than the one that they had. But that was a wild, and again, people have argued this and the Free Britney movement, where they go, well, as it turns out, she has kind of proven that she did need some help. And it's like, yes, she needs some help, but at the same time, she also needs a little autonomy too. All right, let's get into it. Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, they have set the date for the trial. Here's what Court TV had to say.
A federal judge has set a trial date for those two of March 9th, 2026. This will be when the actors can finally resolve their claims over what happened during filming of the movie It Ends With Us. The judge also ordered a conference next week after Lively's lawyers said that Baldoni's lawyers tried to wreck her career. All
right, so here's how it's going to work. I promised you if we got to 100,000 subscribers, I would go report live. I didn't realize it would be 14 months from now, but I will stand by what I said. I will be reporting this story live as long as I'm around in 14 months. As long as I don't have some conservatorship stopping me, I will be there to report, and hopefully my channel will be a lot bigger by then. I can hire some crew. I mean, I'm not kidding when I say this. Like, stick around. We will hire people. We'll have our camera guy. Bruce is going to be in the van. I'll have Starlink internet, one of those fancy microphones, and we will be there to cover this, some might say ad nauseum. So this is Candace Owens. I know people have had a problem with me sort of sharing Candace Owens. They say, don't platform her. Well, she's got 100 times bigger following than I do. So it's not that I'm platforming her. I would say 99%, maybe not, I don't know the exact percentage, but most of the things she says I don't agree with. But I say, a broken clock is right twice a day. The fact that she and others are covering this case so closely is not of my concern. Here's what she had to say.
This is it. It's our Roman Empire right now. So forgive me. I think I said 2 days ago I wasn't going to cover this again, but then I got intel. It was me. I got amazing intel. Okay. So first, let's cut to this.
And by the way, Candace Owens has had sources in the past on other stories that were so bogus, I can't even repeat them right now. But here, we're not going to litigate everything she said or done. We're going to take the merits of this case and see if there's anything to what she's reporting.
This headline, this little update in the Daily Mail. And the Daily Mail is saying that Ryan Reynolds is in a desperate bid to save his image amid his wife's Blake Lively's $400 million legal battle with Justin Baldoni. So he is now concerned. And buried in this article, it tells us that insiders claim, ready, but it was Reynolds who pushed for the shock request for a gag order, because they just now are requesting a gag order. And this is
But here's my question. Is the Daily Mail reporting that because Candace reported it? And who's Candace's source? Now, we will never know her source. And again, she's got fans that kind of, I'm sure they ride or die with her, like, do whatever you want with your time. But I don't trust what she has to say. It could be true. Time will tell.
Desperate bid to stave off any disruption to all of his upcoming projects and the staff at his company, because he runs a company called Maximum Effort Productions, and for the sake of his wife's well-being. Well, isn't that timely? The quotation given to the Daily Mail was, Ryan was a driving force in requesting a gag order for Justin's attorney. The insider told DailyMail.com exclusively. Ryan's production company has a lot of projects in the works right now, and Ryan would be... Okay, Ryan, we're starting to see you for who you are. Rather hilariously, apparently there was some medium who went on the show. I should have dug up the clip for you guys to watch, and predicted the day before yesterday that this entire Blake Lively thing was going to shift around, and it was going to be about Ryan Reynolds. It was going to be bad for Ryan Reynolds. She told this to Drew Pinsky.
All right, so there it is. And by the way, mediums saying, it's like, look, there's 100,000 people every day that make wild claims, and then they all think they're Nostradamus when one of them becomes true. I could tell you the score of the Super Bowl, and then it's not going to go viral until maybe I get it right. So whether or not this medium had insider information, I'm not sure. But we will get a clip of that. I don't have it ready for you right now. But it lines up. It lines up with the idea that Ryan is trying to protect Blake, but also he has his own interest. He has hundreds of millions of dollars on the line. Him and Blake are married. So if she loses this lawsuit, it's coming out of that group paycheck. All right, let's take a quick break. I'm coming back with a CNN news anchor quitting live on air. That story next. Okay, 3 stories left. A host of CNN quitting live on air. I've also got an update on whether or not I'll be reporting from the White House. And I've also got this, I guess, statement by President Trump that he said it had turned the water back on in California. It did rain in California, but I don't think he turned the water back on, although I'll share what he has to say in what California I guess the people in control of the water have to say. First, here's Jim Acosta quitting live on air. I don't think it's a rage quitting, but nonetheless, he's like, all right, you know what? I'm not going to be doing it anymore. Hey, maybe he'll jump on YouTube.
To bow down to a tyrant. I've always believed it's the job of the press to hold power to account. I've always tried to do that here at CNN, and I plan on doing all of that in the future. One final message. Don't give in to the lies. Don't give in to the fear. Hold on to the truth and to hope. Even if you have to get out your phone, record that message. I will not give in to the lies. I will not give in to the fear. Post it on your social media so people can hear from you too. I'll have more to say about my plans in the coming days. But until then, I want to thank all of you for tuning in. It has been an honor to be welcomed into your home for all these years. That's the news. Reporting from Washington, I'm Jim Acosta.
Well, that's actually really interesting. A lot of people, when it's their last post from a company, they'll have some sort of like, they'll kind of make it more about them. But he's saying, don't fall for all the lies. Now, sadly, mainstream media, across the spectrum has lied. Now, you might argue one side lies more than the other, but I argue that it almost doesn't matter because if one side's lying and then the other side starts lying, it's like, who's lying more? That's not the conversation we need to be having. We need to be having a conversation about how you repair sort of the media sort of ability to dig in just on their side. Like, we need to embrace I'm not saying this like centrist views at all. We need to embrace anchors just giving us the news. They've got the news, then they have the entertainment side of the news, and a lot of people can't parse the difference. Part of the issue is reading comprehension and critical thinking skills. But either way, here we have the White House press secretary with one of the blingiest crosses I've ever seen from a press secretary. There it is. You try to separate church and state, but then there's the church right on the state, and that's okay with me. Wear what you want to wear. I don't care. But during her first press conference, this is the new White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, and she's encouraging content creators to submit to be in the White House press corps. Listen, I don't particularly like Washington, D.C., but should I submit? Should you guys nominate me? Should we be in the press corps? Have a listen.
Whether you are a TikTok content creator, a blogger, a podcaster, if you are producing legitimate news content, no matter the medium, you will be allowed to apply for press credentials to this White House.
I think that's a good thing, but at the same time, I hope that my progressive allies get a chance to be represented there. It would not be fun to see sort of just people on one side. We need to be able to ask tough questions, especially during a time where a lot of folks are worried that communication chains are being broken and the truth isn't getting out there. And, mainstream or even social media apps being in on the executive office. Let's be a country not for the executive office, but for the people, which means if they're going to lie, let's call them out. And I hope that they'll have reporters that are there, social media podcasters, whatever, TikTokers, that can actually ask those tough questions.
And as I said earlier, our new media website is whitehouse.gov/new media. And so we encourage people to apply. Again, as long as you are creating news-related content of the day and you're a legitimate independent journalist, you're welcome to cover this White House.
There it is. And again, I would nominate David Pacman, Breaking Points, and I like Kyle Kulinski. Those are the news. That's the news that I get. But I also check in on my right-wing news too. Even though I don't have much of a passion for their ideology, I like to hear the news from different voices. All right, so here's an interesting video for you. Trump's claim about military entering California to turn the water back on. Is it true or false? Speaking of honesty, let's have a listen.
California is disputing a claim made by President Donald Trump about our state's water supply. In a post on Truth Social, President Trump wrote in part, "The United States military just entered the great state of California and, under emergency powers, turned on the water flowing abundantly from the Pacific Northwest and beyond."
I truthfully think that Trump thinks water flows downhill from the north to the south, which isn't true. Water doesn't flow that way because it's a ball. That's a whole thing. But he talks about the water flowing from Canada as if it's as if Canada is this giant mountain and California is at the base of the mountain. That's not how life works, at least on this planet.
California's Department of Water Resources says that is not true. And here's the DWR post on social media. Quote, "The military did not enter California. The federal government restarted federal water pumps after they were offline for maintenance for 3 days. State water supplies in Southern California remain plentiful."
All right. Well, there it is, folks. They were offline for 3 days due to maintenance. And he's like, we're going to turn them back on. And again, a source here, U.S. defense officials tell me they did not send troops to turn turn on the water in California. I mean, can you imagine? I would hate Governor Newsom too if I believed that he was in control of a giant faucet. Could you imagine that? He's got one of those giant faucets and he's like, we're not going to turn the water on. And they're like, your whole state's burning down. Everything you know is destroying. And he's like, well, no water for you. And then Trump calls and he's like, listen, bro, I'm going to need that water to flow all the way from the, upper bounds of the Northwest. And then they just come in. And next thing you know, oh, we got so much water. Everyone take a shower. The water's raining water. That's not the case. And listen, I hope you enjoy what we do, but we will be here to call the news as we see it. You might think there's some sort of bias or another, but I am not paid in any way whatsoever from any entities outside of those that broker with my podcast people that, again, I have no specific interest. Again, as an example, we had Mint Mobile as a paid sponsor, and I have obviously been reporting fairly in the Ryan Reynolds thing. Ryan Reynolds owns Mint Mobile. So I think we're going to keep it pretty fair. The best way to support us, independent media, is to join the Patreon, patreon.com/Dave Neal. For there, you can get all the content you want for $5 a month, and it helps keep us going and being independent. And hey, if that takes us to the White House, great. Although, honestly, I have no desire to go wait for the White House. I'll just be out here, making my content from the, if I go to the White House, do I have to put pants on? You got to put pants on at the White House? Oh, forget it. I'm staying home in my undies. All right, that's it for me. We'll be back in the morning. We'll have all your updates on the Bachelor drama with Rachel Kirkconnell. More coming out with Baldoni. It's a never-ending story, and you guys are here for it. We'll see you then. I'm Dave Neal. This is The Rush.